First off, thanks for joining me. I feel like I know you. You've been in my living room forever, so many times. But yeah, I just wanted to, say that first off. But
Oh,
al
thanks.
also too, you have an iconic career with roles in shows like The Office, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, New Girl. What drew you to this character of Jane Brantley in Plan B?
I just thought the script was really funny, and they were shooting in the Philadelphia, South Jersey area where I'm from. So it just seemed perfect. And also, the lead is Jamie Lee, and I used to host a female stand-up show on TV Guide Network, and Jamie, it was like the first time she'd ever been on TV and was doing stand-up was on that show. So it all just seemed to work out.
Awesome. Yeah, this was my introduction to Jamie Lee, and I really thought she stole the show, and then kind of putting her alongside John, both strong comedic backgrounds. How did their performances influence your approach to your role in Plan B?
Well, I think we just hit it off right away, and I'm such a big Napoleon Dynamite fan. John is such a genius. Oh my God, that movie is the greatest, and he's just one of the funniest people on the planet. So I
Yeah.
was really, really happy I met him before, but I was really happy to get to work with him even just a little bit. And actually, I got to remind Tom Berenger that we had kind of worked together when I was in high school. I was an extra in the movie Eddie and the Cruisers. I was a featured extra. So that was really crazy. And I told the extras in the baby shower scene, this could be you in 40 short years. It was literally like 40 years to the day. It was crazy, crazy that we were doing that. So he was lovely. And I mean, he's such an icon, and I'm such a big fan of, Big Chill and Full Metal Jacket. And oh my God, he's just had an amazing career. Crazy.
Yeah, this movie kind of brought together like the who's who of like the Comic-Con circuit, if you will.
Right.
Uh so it was kind of neat to see like that melting pot of all of these actors you know and love. Back to
Yes.
your character, brings a lot of humor, but also a little bit of warmth to the story as well. How did you approach balancing those comedic elements with the more emotional moments? Because this movie is, on the surface, this is like typical comedy, but once you kind of dig a little deeper into like the bigger themes at play, it's a very heartwarming story and very emotional.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's what makes a good rom-com. You have to have some rom with the com. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that that was one of the things I loved so much about The Office was that the Jim and Pam will they won't they story. It was just one of my favorites. I just every week we would read a script and I would just be so tortured by what might or might not happen. I was so invested in that couple, those characters, and it's just such a joy to be a part of something with great writing. And, I thought Plan B really had scratched that itch.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And you mentioned it. You worked on various TV shows, films. How was your experience working with Brandon Tamburri? Especially considering his background in producing films like Hereditary. The more I dug into him, the more I was surprised that this was one of his projects.
Right. Well, it's funny. He went to St. Joe's University, and I grew up right near St. Joe's. I have a lot of friends from high school that went there, and he's younger than I am, so I obviously didn't know him then. But I felt sort of like he just feels like so. He feels like family. He feels like a brother from another mother because, we're just like when you grow up in a similar place, and even some of the places, the locations that he picked for the movie, like there's this one place that we filmed in a few days that was on the White Horse Pike. Now, the White Horse Pike was the way that we got to the shore from the city. So it just was, just kind of a perfect for me. And but yeah, he's so talented. I just think he got the right people involved. Like he just kind of got all the pieces together. I think that's the hardest part. I think that's part of being a good director is delegating and having the right DP, the right actors, the right script, all those things, the right editor. He
Definitely,
did.
yeah. And like it really felt like collaborative. Like you could really feel from the viewer's perspective, you guys were having a good time on set, and how does working on something like this compared to working on an experience like an extensive experience like television show like The Office? Because I'm sure that there's a lot of similarities with the fact that it felt very like family, but I'm sure like there's vast differences as well.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, the thing about doing an indie film is that I always say you have to be willing to take out the trash if you work on an indie film. You have to be willing to just fly with everything, and if there's an issue, just be ready to have a literally have a plan B, like have a plan C. Because sometimes there's things that happen like weather, or things that happen that you don't get an extra day. You don't
Yeah,
or and it's one of those things where you just have to be in the solution. You have to keep being in the solution. The joy of being on a long running TV show is that there's a lot of people, a lot more people involved, and they make a lot of decisions, but you feel like, you are taken care of in a different way. So it's a little bit more like pioneer country when you do an indie film. I've done dozens, and it's always I don't know. I find it like it's a good challenge for me. And I sometimes bring my own snacks, and I bring some of my own wardrobe just in case, like, especially if I'm flying someplace else, I want to make sure that I'm, being helpful, and kind of, like I said, like maybe having a shortcut for them if they're having a problem with something.
definitely. Yeah, I've been on a few of those as well, doing grocery runs and
Yes, right.
trying to help out whenever you're not memorizing the script. So yeah, I can
It's
definitely.
amazing, right? It's amazing, like how many people do, they wear a ton of different hats, and that's just like the nature of it. And, you learn so much. And if you're new at it, you come out with like all this new knowledge. And if you've done it for a while, like you feel like we did it, we moved a
Yeah,
mountain, we did it.
yeah.
It's a great feeling. It really
Wh-
is.
Why do we do it? Because we love it. Yeah,
It's true. And give up
that.
show business? No way. Yeah.
As someone known for their impeccable timing and comedy, did you find yourself improvising any scenes in Plan B? I wanted
We
to.
had a little bit of improv, the scene where Jamie's character gets sick. But I
Yep.
think that, we had a little bit of a discussion before, and we definitely, got a version of the script as scripted, as they say, and then we got to do a little bit of jumping off. And Jamie's a great collaborator. There are some, actors, particularly female actors, that are number one on the call sheet, who are a little bit like it's all about them, or she's so like about the project, that the project's more important than she is, in that good way, and that non-ego, like, just we're all going to bring our best, but we're going to make sure that it's the best show possible, the best project, the best movie possible, best scene possible.
Awesome. Yeah. Like that was oddly enough, that was exactly the scene I was referring to. Like that scene in particular, because of that, I went and like queued up everything she's in. Like I went to
Yeah,
Letterboxd and IMDb and I was like, I'm a fan. So
yeah, she's great.
specifically though, with that scene, I was getting like it definitely felt like improv from your character, and I was getting this is definitely a compliment, Catherine O'Hara vibe from your performance.
That's high praise, high
Yeah,
praise.
do you get that a lot? Is that someone that people
Well,
can?
yeah, I was at Second City in Chicago, and I remember going back for the 50th anniversary of Second City, and it was like it was a big deal. It was a really big deal, and she was there. That was the first time I met her. We actually got to sing together in a choir in a Christmas show. Harry Shearer does a Christmas show in LA, and Catherine O'Hara and I were altos in this little chorus, and Jane Lynch was on the sopranos, and we had a great time. It was really, really fun. She's such a legend, and I'm so happy to actually know her a little bit, and she's just a legend. I just feel like Schitt's Creek and
Yeah.
everything she's done, Beetlejuice, she deserves everything she gets. She is the real deal.
Yeah, I definitely, I don't know, with this film in particular, I definitely was getting that vibe. Sometimes maybe in The Office, but not as much. I really felt like that role you kind of made that your own. But and speaking of comparisons, this Plan B kind of draws comparisons from other romantic comedies like Knocked Up. I feel like
Sure.
when people see the trailer, that's one of the things that kind of gets mentioned. And but I think, like, and I was mentioning earlier, once you sit down and watch this film, it's definitely different. And particularly the story, is there anything that you feel like this film kind of sets apart from other rom-coms because it's definitely special, and I think that more people should see it once they if they have a moment.
Well, I think a lot of comedies, a lot of comedic movies are about men, and this is a little bit more about women, and
Yeah,
obviously about being pregnant. So that's a whole other thing. And yeah, but I think none of the comedy is lost. I think it's just I mean, everyone's born, everyone has a mother, whether you know them or not. So it's relatable on so many levels, and nothing's perfect about having a family. Nothing. No, nobody's perfect. That's for sure.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like that was one of the things I mentioned in my review. Like I might not be the target audience for this, but like I related to it in a weird way. And yeah, I shared it. I told my mom about it, my sister, my wife. So it's definitely there's something there. And, it touches on themes of relationships, unexpected challenges. I guess to wrap up, what do you hope audiences take away from your character's journey in Plan B?
Well, I guess um, I think that I guess just supporting someone coming up through the ranks when you're a little higher status, and you don't have to necessarily support people. I just think like it could be such a funny relationship, sort of like the person in charge of someone coming up through the ranks, and then like obviously she's going through something very complicated in the meantime, and having the patience to sort of deal with all that, and to try not to get thrown up on,
Awesome. Well, Kate, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
I do want to ask one more thing just because it literally just got posted on my wall like this week. Do you have any response or any opinions about this new The Office reboot? Because I'm very curious about it, like, but at the same time, I'm a little hesitant. And so I want to ask, one of the voices behind it or behind
You
the
know what? I don't know anything about the story. I just know that it's a departure from our the characters on The Office, and I know it's a lot of the similar crew, and our showrunner Greg Daniels is at the helm, and there are a few directors that are also directing it. So I'm sure it's going to be great.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just curious because it literally just got sent to me right before I hopped on here. So anyway, Kate, thank you so much for your time here at
Thank you
CineDump.
so much. You're
Here,
awesome. Thank you, and I
thank,
really appreciate your time.
yeah, here at
Go see
CineDump.
Plan B, everybody. Woohoo!
Here at CineDump, we let the doers know how they're doing, and you are doing just fine. Again, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks again. Take care.
You too. Bye bye.